Hey, come up front, please. Yeah. Oh.
The driving, just want to be relaxed. I would say the promises. So I had two cousins lose a spouse of cancer, and they were in their 30s. A couple of this past year, and then
Hold on 1 second. Al, can you please stop the side conversation? She can't. It's a total dishonor of the person who's up here sharing.
I agree.
When you do
It's a
that.
lack of integrity on my part.
Okay, thank you.
so
Sorry, Meredith. Can you just start again, please?
Sure. So I had cousins that lost their spouse, and I had a promise to myself that I would give money to that certain organization or church or what have you, in memorial of that person. And one of my cousins lost his wife 3 years ago, and then the other one 6 months ago. And I told myself I would do that, and I never did it. And so I just wanted to be. I want to be a generous person, and I want to be a person that keeps their promises. So I wrote a check out and sent it, and I was complete with that, and felt it was good. So,
And then, is that a promise you had made to other people, or is that a promise you made to yourself?
I just made it to myself.
Yeah. And what was the impact of not having kept that promise?
I just thought that I wasn't, fully. I guess even though I don't see my cousins all the time, it kind of inhibits, because when I, would correspond or think about them, I would think about more of, oh, I'm not fully there. I'm looking at myself like I'm such a bad person, when I can look and just be more present to, the conversation or whatever is going in their life, in their life, instead of listening to what I failed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you couldn't actually be present with them because there's this thing
It's
that's
shaming
incomplete.
myself, I'm
Yeah.
shaming. Well, what kind of cousin or family member are you? You're not able to give in a gift, gift.
Yeah.
So,
Great. And did you invent a new possibility? The possibility of being generous?
yes, yeah.
All right. Now, Meredith, is there anybody that it would make a difference for you to share that with?
I don't know. I don't know. I got a thank you card from one of my cousins, and my parents saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And I told them about it a little bit, and so I don't know. I didn't really complete that conversation with them, but I guess I could have.
Yeah. Well, what if you did? See, because you could just keep it to yourself,
Yeah.
right? You broke the promise to yourself. You restored the promise to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you did share that with other people, what would it make available for you and for them?
What would it make available for them? I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know.
What would it make available for you?
Well, that I believe that I'm a generous person.
So it actually make your possibility more real for you.
Mm-hmm.
The sharing of that possibility wouldn't just be something for yourself. It would be now in your environment. So you're enrolling other people in, this is who I am. And I really had to deal with my own lack of integrity regarding that.
Yeah, the only thing is when you ask me that question, I don't want to impose on what other people are going to interpret or what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. So.
Well, that's right. You don't, and you don't know what that conversation could open up for them.
No. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with somebody who makes a commitment to themselves about losing weight, and they keep breaking it, and then they finally restore their integrity, and then go share that with other people. There's now the possibility of, well, maybe I could be somebody of integrity too, with my word. Because who in here breaks promises to yourself? Everybody. And we think there's no impact, but there's an impact. That's part of the lie we tell ourselves. Yeah, so are you willing to consider that your sharing of that could actually open something up for other people?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, great. I know more than what you got up to share, right, but this is expanding the conversation. Great, thank you. All right, who else? Yeah, Maggie.
I don't know how to start this.
Okay.
Let's see, this is the first time I've been up here through it all. And
Like, you mean like since your forum?
since the forum,
And you did the advanced course?
yeah,
And you did another, I know you did at least one other seminar.
yes.
And this is your first time sharing in the room. That's huge.
Thank you. So I was in a relationship for 10 years, and my partner left me for another in January. And I've been dealing with a lot of anger and hurt and confusion. I had to move out of the house we were living in because it wasn't mine. And I was living with some very good graduate friends of Landmark. And so I've had a lot of help, and I've done a lot of work. And I also created some messes, especially in the last 3 weeks. So one of the things that happened was the partner of my ex's new girlfriend contacted me, and they live in New York. She contacted me and said, I've been wondering how you're feeling because this has been really hard for me. And I had to think about how I was going to respond. And I felt like, gee, here's somebody who's going through the same thing I am, and I want to talk to her. So I responded. This was email. So I sent her an email back. And this was in the end of March or April of some time.
And Maggie, just so we know where to listen in the conversation, so is this a broken promise or agreement that you restored, or standards and ideals
it's actually,
that you saw were using you?
It's an agreement.
Okay.
Right? So what happened was, my ex-partner and her ex-partner suspected that we were having these conversations. So it became a secret that we were keeping, right? And it was creating an enormous amount of turmoil in their lives. And we knew that because there's a child involved. And so there's a lot of contact. And so at sometime this past week, I realized that it had gotten out of control, and I needed to do something to fix it and acknowledge that we were indeed communicating and that I apologized for it. So I did.
And what was the broken agreement?
That I wasn't having that communication. All right, my partner asked me if I was communicating with
okay.
her. Yes, I'm sorry.
Got it.
Missing. Yes, she asked me if I was communicating with her, and I evaded the question. So basically, I lied. And so.
Yeah, it's powerful when you say I lied.
Well, an evasion is a deceit.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was.
Yep.
So I had to make a decision, but because there were issues of settlement on the other part of the other person, we had to wait until her legal situation with her child was settled. So that happened this week. And I contacted her and said, look, we've got to clean this up. It's a mess. They're going crazy. They think everybody is talking now. And we need to acknowledge that we have been holding this secret and that we lied. So we did, both of us. And more importantly was I did. And I sent my ex-partner an email. We wanted to do it in person, but we couldn't coordinate it. So I sent her an email, and I basically said, we've been in communication. It's been helpful. but I know that it has really, that I deceived you in doing this, and that it has caused problems for you, and I apologize for that. I'm very sorry for that. And there wasn't anything else to say except to say, you know, have a great life or whatever. And so in doing that, first setting it up, even having the idea to do that was like, oh my God, this is the right thing to do. It didn't occur to me that I needed to do that. And so, I mean, I've been coached, I've been helped along in this process. So in acknowledging the deceit, the secrecy, the lies, and taking the risk, because it also, there's a certain amount of power when you withhold information from people.
Sure.
And I acknowledge that I was enjoying that. And so in acknowledging the lie and acknowledging that I was deceiving her, I was able to release something. And I have to say that I probably slept better the night that I did that than I've slept in 6 months. So,
And that was part of the impact
yeah.
of that broken agreement,
Yeah.
the impact on your well-being.
And I think that, Ellen has become an inspiration for me tonight, because it's very hard to deal with this kind of anger that I've had. And it's corrosive, it infects everything. And I've been struggling with overcoming the anger and learning really to move toward what the goal is unconditional love for my ex-partner. But that's in the distance at the moment.
Well,
I have a long way to go.
Yeah, and here's what has it be. See, that's a brilliant example of how how the ordinary understanding of possibility is. It's a someday future, but not now possibility, which is not our work. So our work is inventing a possibility now in the present that impacts you now, not a someday working up to it. So having said everything you just said, and really I acknowledge you for cleaning it up, like really taking responsibility for it, cleaning it up, being responsible for the impact. And so right now, standing right here, what new possibility can you invent for yourself in your life?
Well, I feel like I'm free of the anger and the need to retaliate in a sense.
Okay. So the possibility of being
free, and also being at peace. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been struggling with, because it's really disruptive to be angry. And so
Totally.
being at peace and knowing that I fixed something that was it wasn't working for me. It just wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't working for them either.
No, and it was not working
Right?
for them. No.
But the possibility of being free and being at peace.
Yeah.
And I'm standing right there. What's now available to you?
Being able to create a different kind of relationship with my ex-partner.
Yeah, and do you have to wait for 6 months from now to do that?
No.
No. So right in that possibility, what's an action you can take?
I don't know.
Well, possibility of being free and at peace. You're committed to creating a new relationship with her. Yeah, not a new romantic, like a new.
Right.
Okay, good. So how is that going to happen?
I'd have to contact her.
Okay, well, that would be an action you could take.
Right.
And somebody who's being free and at peace, can you envision yourself taking that action? We're not talking about same old Maggie. We're talking Maggie, the possibility of being
Wow.
free and being at peace right now.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna try to. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
is that a yes?
So that's the action. To contact her.
Yeah. Well, is that an action? Is that an action you're saying you're going to take?